Have you ever really thought about completely transforming yourself? I mean, not just making a few changes here and there, but following a structured path to becoming something more. Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today, using Michael W. Ford's book Apotheosis as our guide. It lays out this pretty intense philosophy for, well, what it calls personal godhood.
And that brings us to the core idea, and wow, is it a big one. Become a living God. Now, hold on. This isn't about flying around with a lightning bolt. It's a metaphor for the ultimate goal here, a state you reach by taking total 100% accountability for your own life and everything you're capable of.
So you might be asking, how in the world do you even start a journey like that? Glad you asked. Here's our game plan. First, we're going to get a handle on the philosophy itself, what the text calls Luciferianism. Then we'll get into the main event, the triad of transformation. We'll break it down stage by stage, liberation, illumination, and finally apotheosis. And to wrap it all up, we'll see how you can actually apply this stuff.
Okay, so first things first, we got to get the lay of the land. The book is based in Luciferianism, and it's super important to understand this has nothing to do with devil worship. In this context, it's a philosophy, one that's all about enlightenment, being independent, and building your own personal power. It's a very specific fork in the road.
See, the philosophy makes this really clear split between two ways of thinking. On one side, you've got the right-hand path. The book defines this as all about surrendering your individuality, kind of dissolving into some higher power. But what we're focusing on is the left-hand path. This path is all about doing the exact opposite. It's about holding on to and strengthening your own unique consciousness, not letting it go.
So how do you actually go about strengthening yourself like that? Well, the text gives us a core framework, a really clear three-stage process for initiation. It's called the Triad of the Morning Star.
And here they are, the three pillars of this whole journey: liberation, illumination, and apotheosis. You should think of them less as a checklist and more like a cycle of personal evolution, you know? Each stage just builds right on top of the last one. So let's jump into that first one.
Stage 1 is liberation. And yeah, it is exactly what it sounds like. It's all about breaking free. This is the foundation, you know? It's where you clear the ground to make room for something new to actually grow.
And just look at the symbol for this stage. It just nails the whole idea, doesn't it? That broken chain, it's not just a cool image. It represents the very real, active process of finding and just shattering all those mental chains and old ideas that are holding you back.
So, to put it simply, liberation is about consciously getting past all the dogma and beliefs you just sort of inherited. It's about you seizing the steering wheel of your own life. You stop being a passenger and you become the driver in your own story. But how do you actually do that? The text lays it out. First, you have to actually identify those beliefs that are boxing you in. Then you have to actively work on getting past your own internal taboos and what the book calls herd animal standards. Basically, all that pressure to just conform. The whole point is to ditch the guilt that someone else put on you and take total responsibility for yourself. And once you start breaking those chains, it naturally leads you to stage 2, illumination. After you've cleared out all the old stuff, you've suddenly got all this space to build something new. The torch here is the perfect symbol, isn't it? This isn't a light that someone else hands to you. It's a light that you ignite, using your own knowledge, your own actions, and your own hard-won insight. So illumination is all about actively chasing knowledge, but not just for fun, right? It's about getting knowledge so you can actually make your goals happen. It's about applying what you learn to get what you want, whether that's something in the real world or something more spiritual. Yeah, this stage is all about doing. You go out, you get knowledge, and then you apply it. You struggle, you act strategically. The text suggests that real insight, the good stuff, it only comes from experience. From the wins, sure, but also from the losses. This whole process is described as sparking the black flame, which is a killer metaphor for that awakened, individual consciousness that starts to change every single thing about you. And that brings us to the final stage, the peak of this whole process. Apotheosis. This is where the transformation really solidifies into a whole new way of being. The symbol for this stage, the all-seeing eye, it represents this huge shift in how you see the world. It's about the wisdom you gained on the journey, the power you earned through self-control, and the ability to finally truly see and shape your own reality. Now, this is so important. The text defines apotheosis not as a finish line you cross, but as a continual state.
It's this ongoing loop of using liberation and illumination over and over again to constantly grow and gain personal power.
What that really means is, the journey is never over. According to this philosophy, reaching apotheosis isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a dynamic, lifelong process of becoming. It's about always transforming yourself.
Okay, I know, that all sounds pretty big and abstract. So how does the book say you can actually take these huge ideas and use them? Let's bring this down to earth with some practical tools.
So the book offers these 11 Luciferian points of power as a sort of user's manual. For that first stage, liberation, point 7 tells you to develop a healthy self-love. For illumination, point 1 says to use your intellect and wisdom as a light. And for apotheosis, point 8 gives this advice: live your life as if your mind is going to outlast your body. I mean, govern yourself with that kind of long-term vision and strength.
You can even use this philosophy on a smaller scale. Like, say you want to break a bad habit. The process is broken down into 3 simple steps. First, identify the thought that's holding you back. Second, focus your mental energy on the new goal instead. And third, you conquer the old habit by just consistently overpowering it with willpower. The text even suggests this can create a new pattern in about a month.
And really, this one quote from the 11th point of power, it just ties the whole thing together, doesn't it? It all comes down to this radical idea that the power to create your life, to keep it going, and to unlock your potential, it's all inside you.
So we'll leave you with this to think about. If you really accept what this text is saying, that you and you alone are the architect of your reality, what does that massive responsibility actually mean for you? For your thoughts, your choices, your actions? Starting right now,